Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I am the Moon Mama. How y'all doing today? There's so much energy going on. It's unreal. I'm in Los Angeles, as many of you know, and I hear helicopters all day long and all that sort of stuff. So I've been wrapping my head up, because the top of my crown has just been buzzing, like bzzz. And so I have to take precautions. I don't know if precautions is the right word. But I have to sneeze. Or do I have to sneeze? I'm having to really just sort of shield myself in this interesting way that I've not had to do before now. So today is a Mercury day, and Mercury is in Cancer, and it's happening. Mercury is the planet that governs our perception, our minds, how we think, and Mercury is in its retrograde shadow. It has started the retrograde shadow, and so, like I said yesterday, I'm going to come every day and talk about the retrograde in Cancer from the perspective of healing the feminine in this country. America is a Cancer. The birthday of America is the 4th of July. So that's Cancer energy. And so, so this is it. So let's do it. So what I want you all to do, like this morning I woke up and I literally am looking at my story, my family's story, the heritage of my family in this country. And, I've spent a lot of time doing this, so I know, I spent a lot of time looking at my family history because there was so much drama and trauma and devastation in my family. There was so much addiction, drug addiction, crime, depression, despair, anger. So I started digging and going, why is it this way? Like, I grew up in my family just sort of wondering, what is the fucking problem here? Like, why are we so dysfunctional? And what I discovered were interesting things that all were born out of Black people being enslaved and Jim Crow experiences, because most Black people are from the South. And so what I know is that my grandmother, my mother's mother, is the story that I was told was that my great grandmother, worked in a man's home, in a white man's home, with his family in Mississippi, and she was raped. And then my grandmother was the result of that. And then my grandfather on my mother's side, he was from Alabama, and he witnessed his father being murdered on a sharecropper's farm when he was 15 years old. And so that's just a part of my own personal family story. And all of those are just stories that I've heard. I don't know the details of it. I don't know all the things, because everything is kept so secret. Everything is filled with with shame and helplessness and remorse, and there was never any justice. So it wasn't talked about. It wasn't explained, or it just showed up as all of these ailments, all of this deep depression and behaviors that just didn't make sense to me. And so that's one side of my family. And then the other side of my family has similar things with, a lot of racial oppression, not being able to have economic justice, things being stolen, like apartment buildings, and things being swindled, and just all sorts of systems that were preyed upon. Like, my family was preyed upon by white business people and things like that. And so I am looking at this today to see how this shows up in my life. And so I encourage you all, whoever's here, whether it be white women or Black women, just look at your family history. Be willing to take a look at it, because we can't heal what we won't look at. And so as we move through this Mercury retrograde shadow, we want to be able to collect, get evidence for who we are today, why we are the way that we are today. And in doing that, we can begin to look at the stories, see how they have shown up in our lives, and then stay the course with me in this work. At some point, I'll have a link for you to register for the class, probably in the next several days. And Kenya K. Stevens, who's the author of Up Level, is going to come and support myself and Kelly Lynn Prime as we are going to do up level and rituals to help transform the energy, but we have to find where the core of it is first. So that's why we're looking at the story. So talk to your mothers, talk to your grandmothers, talk to your family members, and see if you can, just find out what are some of the experiences of your family members. If you are white women, I know I have white women in my life whose families have actually owned slaves. And so it's important to look at that and look at how those behaviors then still live in your life, what that caused, what those practices and beliefs caused in your life. And the same is true if you are a black woman or a black person. Look at how the experience of oppression and slavery and all of that has shown up in your family, and just take a look, write it down, just learn. And in doing so, we're going to move this energy into a greater experience of healing. Today, the moon is in Scorpio, and the moon in Scorpio is great for investigation. Absolutely. With Mercury, a Mercury day, the moon in Scorpio and Gemini, Sun, this is a fantastic day to investigate how you feel, do the work to get curious, find out the story, ask the deep questions, look at the shadow, and be courageous, be willing to look at the hard stuff, be willing to see what you've not been willing to see before now. And I promise you, the results will be fantastic. And so I just, I'm really excited about what's going on right now. And I was sharing, many of you have heard here, I've talked about how I voted for Donald Trump, and it was probably the most insane, crazy thing I have ever done. But I knew when I was doing it that I had to do something radical, because I was tired of holding these stories and these experiences and this trauma by myself, or what it felt like by myself. And I knew that if the country I knew that Donald Trump would drive us into a hole. I knew that that his arrogance, that his profound entitlement, that what feels like insanity would bring us to the brink, and we would have to look at ourselves. And so on some level, it felt like I was killing myself when I did that, like voting against my own interests. But I knew in reality that I was voting for the secrets and the illusions to be broken up. And so here we are today, but now we get to do the work, and the work is good. And so I encourage you to follow along, share this video, sign up for my email list so that when the link comes out for the class and the actual work that we're going to do, internally, that you will be ready and have all the information. Happy Wednesday. That's all I got today. Peace and blessings, everyone. Bye-bye.